recording this, and this way it's online. I want to record all of the lectures and even the syllabus, so it's online and you have a chance to review it and go back to it. Let me mute everyone and proceed. Okay, mute all, and we'll proceed. Welcome to ANP2. All right, and in a way, I hate recording it because then there's a record of it, and I have to watch everything I say. But on the other hand, welcome to the course, and this will be recorded. Let me start, and what we'll do is we'll go through the syllabus. I'll take questions at the end as usual, and then we're done with this session. Now, let's begin by saying, obviously, it's the summer of 2020 online class. We go from today to August 6th, I believe, and we run 5 weeks straight. And it's 4 credit hours. We will meet, at 9 o'clock Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, okay? And we go as long as it takes. Generally, we've got an hour session, but I leave time at the end for any questions thereafter, okay? I think that its location online is a general change for us. And I'll give you my office address and office phone. They're right up there, but you're not going to be using that. Email is probably the best way to contact me. I'll be available all the time. And the course is an integration and an integration of the systems that you see here. All right, we begin with the endocrine system, a system of communication. We last left off with the nervous system. So both of these are systems of control of the body. And just as an overview, we take an integrated approach. In other words, all of the systems work together. You don't simply you don't simply just learn the circulatory system, the heart. You have to realize that it has an intrinsic connection to the kidney, right? What drives the urine out of the body? The pressure of the pump known as the heart. So all of this has to be taught in tandem. But practically, you got to teach one system at a time. So we start with the endocrine system, the system of chemical communication in the body. We move on to a unit, and I used to always tell a joke, not a joke. I used to always say, look to the left, look to the right in the class. One of you will die of heart-related disease. That's depressing. They used to say one of you will fail. That is even more nasty in anatomy. That's so I used to tell that joke. And it's not a joke. I mean, honest to God, the heart-related diseases are so common. But the positive news is that we've made tremendous progress with treatments, both drug therapies and surgeries, angioplasties, bypasses, etc. That heart-related deaths went way down. So our war against heart diseases, I feel, is going rather well. The war against cancer, which we'll talk about, is another story. And to understand cancer is to understand 200 different diseases and to understand all of the systems. So I think what I'm getting at is that ANP2 is in a way more exciting than ANP1 for the simple reason that you're talking about disease, you're using your foundation from one to apply to treat patients and understand disease in ANP2. So we do a lot of clinical applications to the disruption of homeostasis. So that's the course description. We look at electrolyte balance, in other words, the urinary system, respiration. We look at digestion. We look at excretion. We look at reproduction. We look at metabolism, how things are processed in the body. So we get to understand the whole body and give you a tour of all the systems. And as we work through, you will see that you're building on one system after another and understanding the whole person. Now, student learning, let's just scroll through. You can all see the syllabus, right? We'll scroll through the syllabus. This is just the state ed requirements that we address the scientific method, which of course we do. That's a low expectation, obviously. And we continue on with the course objectives. I'll let you guys read these course objectives. We go over bioethical dilemmas. We discuss not only the knowledge base of ANP, but we talk, as you can see, personal applications. We've already talked about that, right? Just having met a little bit. And we talk about basically research in anatomy and physiology. We will talk about the virus because that's a current event that's important for a person's health. Um, we will make it a dynamic class, all right, online. I'll tell you what I like about the class, okay? Online, you're able to engage to the extent that you can. Now, I want to set some expectations before we talk about the measurement criteria. Let's scroll down just to the grades, grading criteria, and then we'll scroll up for the descriptions. But here's the grading criteria. Before I start with the grading criteria, we have to be flexible with each other. I had a lot of trouble last semester with the computer. Now, I had to buy a new computer. Now, one day I spilled a cup of coffee on the computer. Do you know what that does to a computer? Big problems. I had to get rid of the computer. I had to spend $2,500 because I cannot handle a Dell. I had to get a Mac. I am a baby about computers. Now, if you see me with a cup of coffee, you tell me, get it the hell away from you. Okay, because so I had that one trouble. I had all kinds of trouble. Electric went out one day. I think the students heard me cursing in the background. I can hear it on the YouTube and the YouTube channel. Luckily, half of it was cut off, thank God. And I'm just going to say there are things that happen. So we have to be flexible with each other. That is why I'm recording all and putting it on the YouTube channel. And you can check out the YouTube channel for any of the lectures, all right? That's important to me because we've got to be flexible. Also, let me just tell you, something might happen in my life where I can't be here at 9 o'clock Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And I don't want to put a lot of pressure on myself. If it doesn't happen, you'll get an email and I'll put it on the YouTube channel. I don't anticipate it happening, but I will tell you it's going to happen July 21st because they're going to cut the electric on my house for the morning of July 21st. So I am going to record it on the YouTube channel. But I will discuss it when that happens, all right, like right before, because I have a rain date, and that'll be the next day then. So I guess what I'm trying to say is let's be flexible. I'll be in constant contact with you. Things happen, all right? And I also understand that for you, and that is why here's how the grading criteria is going to be. I dropped the lowest. That's what I was building on. One grade will be dropped. And this is going to be flexible. There's going to be either 3 or 4 lecture exams. It depends on how it goes. I'm planning on 4 lecture exams worth 75% and 1 lab exam at the end. Now you might say, whoa, that's a lot. I'm going to give you a review for the lab exam to guide you as to what the questions will be, okay, on. Like I can tell you already, we're doing the endocrine lab and the blood lab, all right? And I can tell you I know already what we're going to ask. And I'll go over that as we proceed and talk about the lab. So I want to guide you. You need guidance for that practical. I could give you 2 practicals, but I want to give you only 1 because otherwise we're just testing and testing all the time. And we don't want to get crazy here. I will drop the lowest. Now this is kind of crazy, but if I drop the lowest, then it's potentially I could drop your lab exam. But you have to do well on all your lecture exams. So all exams are worth equal amounts, both the practical and the lecture exams. Everything is going to be worth 20%. Okay, what is going on here? And I dropped the lowest, which means so our plan is to have 4 lecture exams, right? And because I dropped the lowest, and one lab practical exam, so that's a total of 5, and I dropped the lowest, which means only 4 will count. That means everything will be worth 25%, all right? So what am I saying? If I don't drop anything, you have 5 tests times 20 equal 100%. That makes sense? So it's very easy. But I'm going to drop the lowest. So if you want to figure out your grade to date, you just have to add it up and divide by the number of tests that you got, because everything's going to be worth the same. Grade to date aggravates people when you prorate it and weight it, and people just get confused. So I like keeping it simple. We have 1 practical, 4 exams. I drop the lowest of anything, and then that's what the grade's going to be. So let me show you how the tests are going to be. I believe most of you have had me for online testing. I email you the test, and you have a certain amount of time to finish the test. Okay, number 1, I give you a minute a question, plus I'm adding 15 points. excuse me, plus I'm adding 15 minutes. And that's a lot. So if you have 25 questions, you will get 40 minutes for the test. You're always going to have either 25 questions and you'll get 40 minutes, or you'll have 40 questions and you'll get 55 minutes. Okay. So you'll always get more than a minute a question. And it has to be open book, everyone. I hate open book and I like open book. Let me tell you what I like about it. What I like about it is in life, you'll always be able to look things up. So, if I ask you where the humerus is, like an A&P1, whatever, you'll always be able to, life is open book. However, what I hate about it is I don't want you not to memorize and remember things. So it's a nice blend. If I email you and limit the time, you have to kind of know what you're doing, right, Sky? You can't just sit there and be like, oh, it's open book, I don't care, and I'll Google the answer. You won't have enough time. So you do have to study. It's totally fair, but it should not be of high stress and hideous. So most people did okay. Our grades ranged from about a C to an A plus, from a C minus to an A plus. So people didn't do horrible, but it did discriminate between people who were studying and not. So I was pleased with the way A&P1 and the spring term went. So that's how I'm going to do it. That's mostly multiple choice, true, false, and matching questions. I would say that it mostly comes from the notes. Those of you who've had me know that I've written the book, and the book comes from the notes that I was teaching for tons of years. So that's what I would study. I would read the book, and I'm giving 3 points for all of you to get the textbook just email me that you got the textbook with the code, even if, I'm going to give you another week to get it, but you need to be able to read alongside the lectures. Otherwise, if you just look at the notes, you know what happens? It's a very superficial knowledge. If you read, then it gives you greater knowledge. There's the pictures as we go along. And if you want to start reading, you guys can start reading for tomorrow, page 551, the endocrine system, glands, and basics. 551 to the end of the chapter. And I'll go over that shortly. But anyway, I'll email you at 9 o'clock, whatever select day, the test. And we don't go on Zoom that day. We don't Zoom while we test. We just take the test, you email it back, and there's no lecture for that day. And then I grade it, and I'll, usually that day or the next day, I'll get you the grades back by 800 numbers. So that's how we operate. And then participation, I expect you to be there. I have a YouTube channel for your convenience to view the Zoom lectures. Zoom lectures, we have discussion. It's mostly lecture format, but I will always lecture to you, all right? And I'll usually mute it, allow the chat room open so you can ask questions, and then I will always address all the questions at the end. My goal is an hour for the lecture, and then whatever time it takes afterwards. If we want to go over lab afterwards. Let's remove, I'm not going to get into this, unprofessional removal from the course. Some people have had a lot of trouble with their students on Zoom. Did you know that? I mean, come on, it seems crazy. Some of the faculty are complaining that they're ruckusy on Zoom. I mean, I don't know. So I don't think, we've never had a problem. We're all pretty serious people, so I don't think we have that problem. But I had to put it in the syllabus. They wanted me to. Lab, here's the lab. You're going to get 2 labs sent per week. Maybe 1 lab on 1 week. We have a total of 5 weeks. We have 9 labs. That's what we have. So 2 labs a week, and then 1 lab the last week, and your practical will be the last day of, I think the last day of class will be the practical. And that's why I'm not sure with this 5 exams versus 4 exams. I don't want to make it a crunch at the end where we're all miserable. Although we may have lots of time. I haven't decided. But like anything, like every class, we have to see. So I may just give the last lecture as like a freebie lecture and no test after. I don't know. Sometimes it's fun to do that so that everything's not test like crazy. I hate that. But the plan right now is 4 tests and 1 lab practical. But the possibility is 3 tests and 1 practical. And then we'll keep it a little loosey-goosey at the end, maybe with metabolism and urogenital. I don't know. Let's see. Labs will be take home. Let me say about the lab. What I do is this. Here is the lab manual. Okay, this is a manual. I did not write this manual. I put it together. I put a couple of things in. This is what we call a custom manual. Unlike the other manual and the textbook, that is mine. I wrote it. This one is from Maria Pearson. I ran out of energy. I said, I ain't writing anymore. That's it. I had enough. So this, in a way, it's nice. It has a lot of nice pictures. And it corresponds to what we call the My AP Labs. Now, the My AP Labs, let me just tell you, I have emailed you the My AP Labs. You have to do what I told you now. I forgot what it was. You have to, they're online labs, and they're not hard to follow. At the end of the, you have to allow Flash. That's what you have to do. You have to allow Flash. I think if you're in Chrome or Safari, it works fine. I'm in Safari, and you should be fine. And that will be, there will be 3 of those labs out of the 9. So 1/3 of your labs have this online component. And I do that during the year too, where I have you go to the library. And that's instead of a wet lab where you're killing a rat and killing a frog, it's an online component. And so that attachment will save you money because I'm just giving it to you. And you're to follow the back of the book, and I give you the directions where to follow, what page, for the online and experiment. And it gives you a little picture, of course, of the online experiment. Like, let me give you an example. Here's endocrine simulation, right? And you open it up. That's page, so that's this week. You got to go to page 211, and that's going to show you a little rat experiment like that. So instead of killing the rat and going crazy with the rat, you're going to move the rat, you're going to clean the rat, you're going to inject it with various hormones. That's your endocrine lab, where you're going to figure out the metabolic rate of the rat to understand the physiology of how thyroid stimulating hormone and thyroxine work in the body. All right. The blood lab is a wet lab, and you will be shown different experiments and how those are done in a hematology lab. And these labs are interactive, as you can see with the attachment, the My AP Labs. You're working with a rat. You're getting your own unique experiment and your own unique results. Okay. And I'm here for any questions that you have with the lab. We can go over it each week and discuss it. All right. The labs are set up as follows. I will email you 1 page usually. I try to keep it simple, with the objective and the pages you need to read and the video you got to watch. All right. And if it's not a video you got to watch, then you got to go to the My AP Lab, and I give you the pages, and it's pretty clear. It would be the same thing if we were in the classroom. So you're missing no content with the online course, which is what I like. But you are doing it on your own, and I'm not there, kind of hand-holding and giving an end-of-lab summary like I do during the year. Instead, we have to do that virtually if we want it, all right? And we can certainly do it. If you're like, hey, did I get the results right? Let's try to do it as a group at the end of the lecture. And if you don't want to, that's okay too. Some of them are self-explanatory. You're not going to have questions. Like some of the lab stuff with the blood, it's a video of it. And some things you're like, hey, I wonder if I got it right. So let's keep it. Don't feel afraid to ask me questions. If we were together, it would be a little easier. I know it's awkward online, but now we're all kind of used to it. So feel free to ask questions. Okay. That's the lab. And so I also chose, and I don't know if you like this or not, I don't want to do lab quizzes, and I don't want to do a lot of ruckus. I want to keep it to 1 practical at the end. Now, it's kind of crazy that you can drop the lowest. So you could potentially do well in the lecture and drop the lowest being your lab practical, and that's it. I do not recommend that. I recommend doing all the labs, because this way you have a chance of screwing up on one of the assessments. All right, so keep doing each lab each week, follow along with the lecture, and you should be fine. I don't want you getting crazy with this class because it's online. I don't want it to be stressful. I want you to feel free to ask questions as we go through. And I want to make the expectations very clear, all right, that we've got the exams. We're going to have an exam 1 week from today. Now, look, in 5 weeks, we're over. 1 month from now, we're history. The class is done. So that's why it goes quick, but it's also low-key, I think. So 1 week from today, you'll have an endocrine system and a blood test. So why don't we go to our syllabus? That's it. We're going to do endocrinology tomorrow. And as I've said, if you follow the syllabus, read page 551 to 566, that will be your readings. So that's on Wednesday. Thursday of this week, we'll do the blood. Cardiovascular 1. Here are the pages in chapter 13. And then we'll have exam 1 Tuesday at 9 o'clock. I'll email you the exam. I believe it is 40 questions, 55 minutes. And it's on the endocrine system and the cardiovascular. So it's very clear. And what I like about how I set this up is you don't have to worry about a lab test at the same time. Like, oh no, I got a lab quiz too. Too much. You can't even keep track. So lab, we worry about at the end. And I will give you a review at the end. Maybe we'll even dedicate a class to it. I don't know. On what you need to know for the lab. Okay, that's important. So I want you to just do the labs, but not go crazy with the labs. Concentrate on the lecture, but do the labs each week so you know what's going on. And ask me questions as we go along. Okay, so anyway, so that's week 1. Endocrine is the hormone system. And then we, like I told you, we begin our 3 units of heart, blood vessels, and the blood. So next Wednesday, we start the cardiovascular 2. That's the heart. And then we'll discuss the vessels on Thursday. And that's next week's agenda, a test and the vessels and the heart. And then the following week, we have another test. Crazy. We have a immunology that Tuesday and then another test. All right. Now we're on week 3. So Wednesday of week 3, we have exam 2. And exam 2 has quite a few questions. I think there's only 25 questions, I think. And it's the heart, the blood vessels, then the immune system. Immune system is like a war. It's fascinating. And that's where we got taken out of the classroom in A&P2 last year. And we were talking about the virus, oddly. Some of you were in there. And it was quite traumatic. Anyway, then we continue on after that test. You know, here we are. What is it? What did we say? Week 3, week 4. We're into week 4, respiration and nutrition and digestion. We talk about the digestive system. And the book has a nice, I really put a lot into the obesity epidemic, the diabetes crisis, and, the American problem of nutrition and digestion. So that's in there. And then we move on to exam 3, which will include respiration and digestion. And then the last exam, which is what I'm debating, depending on how fast we go, is metabolism. The sum total of all the reactions in the body. That's what metabolism is. How does this, everyone heard the word metabolism. What do you think of metabolism? Fast metabolism, you burn off a donut fast. Slow, you don't. But it has more to it than that. We'll get into it. Excretion is the urinary system, how you remove waste. And reproduction is the next generation and pregnancy. And then we'll have our last test and a practical. All right, that is our agenda. And of course, this is the lab schedule. Lab schedule is, we have a total of 9 labs, and we're going to do all of them, and we're going to have a practical at the end. And those labs you're doing on your own. We're not in class for the lab because these are take-home labs. Wherever I write computer simulation, that means that's where you go to the MyAP attachment and you do those labs. MyAP attachment will guide you through. There'll always be a little picture. For the endocrine system, there's a rat. For the heart, there's a heart. For respiration, there's balloons to simulate the lungs. And it guides you through a process of doing an experiment. So these are your experiments. Instead of in the classroom, you're in online experiments. And I like them. They're not costing you money. I really debated whether or not I should get a little kit, with a heart that you could dissect yourself. And it's about $250. So you can reflect at the end and let me know if you think that's a good idea. But, it does have like a little skeleton. Each class is $250. So it's another $500. And I just didn't want to spend it for you guys. I don't know if it's worth it. It is nice to do the dissection of a heart, to actually show it to you, but like I do in the classroom. But what we have is the online, simulations, okay? So we'll see. So endocrine and blood are this week. Next week, we're going to do the heart one, and there's another computer simulation and the blood vessel lab. And then there's a pig dissection the following week and respiratory simulation, so another simulation. So each week you got these simulations. So you're interactive. Last but not least, there's an immunology handout. That's a paper and pencil lab and a urinalysis, a demo to understand what a urinalysis is and see it. And then I have reproduction, the best thing, show you a film on it. I mean, that is the reproduction lab, a film. We get kind of relaxed at the end, watch a film, and then you have your practical. All right. The required materials. Here's the ISBN number for, you know, the book and the manual. You know, I should really, can I add one here? Let's see. Let me give you the ISBN for the manual in case you can find it elsewhere. I should have put that in the first place. 978 1256 584 896. So that's the ISBN if you want to find it somewhere. You know, I've been told, oh, you have to send them to the bookstore, then the bookstore doesn't have it. That's been very upsetting to me, to say the least. But anyway, now it's there. So you can look for it as you wish, but bookstore is supposed to have everything by now, and I think it does. Okay, there's no lab fee. Materials, none required. Attendance policy, if you miss more than 2 labs, it'll result in a maximum of a C for the course. I don't know that matters. You're not going to miss it, right? You're getting an email to you. Student conduct in the classroom, you can read that on your own. Cell phones, integrity. I do want to mention integrity. You know, you need to do your own work. You can't have other people doing it. You're your own person, and you want integrity to understand the material in order to, you know, survive and take the NCLEX and survive the classes. So you got to do the work yourself. There's been horror stories of parents doing work for students. I don't get that jive from you guys at all, but keep in mind, you know, the academic policy. And last but not least, yeah, you can read the rest. Safety, academic adjustments with disabilities. You know, I comply with all those things. And that's the gist of how the tests will be given, how the labs will be given, how the final grade will be calculated, right? It's easy calculation. You have 5 assessments. I drop the lowest. You add the 4 up, and you divide by 4. All right, that's it. So you just average equally whatever is left from what I dropped. So yeah, grade to date drives me crazy. You know why? Last semester, people always want to kind of trap you into saying they're going to get a B, you know, or an A or a C. You know, you never know. There's too many variables, and that's the thing. As a scientist, I always, even the virus, you know, I'm like, you just don't know things. You know, there's a lot unknown. However, I anticipate you guys doing fine. I would be shocked if all of you wouldn't pass with at least a C+, you know. And I think to get in the program, you must have a C+ in A&P, okay? A C is not good enough if you're not in the program. If you are in the program, a C is good enough, all right? I just want you to know that. You got to know the deal. Now, if you're in liberal arts and you're applying to get in and they see a C, no. Years ago, it was okay, but no. And all the other classes from liberal arts, you got to have a B, but they know A&P is tough, so they're like C+. And micro too. Klausner and I, you know, addressed it. So, you know, Klausner. How many have had Klausner? The micro faculty. Anybody? A couple. Anaya, did you have him? No, not yet. All right. Well, he's on vacation. He didn't want to teach summer school. It's fun. Summer school will be fun. We're at 9:48. Let me open up to questions. Look, and I wrote this, and I mean it. Have a good semester. Study hard. It will pay off. It's going to be a good summer. You're going to be able to go to the beach, sit by a pool, have a good time, and study on your own time. I personally like it. In a way, I wish we had this type of class when I was going to school, because the running around, parking, driving, you know, I went to SUNY Albany for grad school. I would have loved online. I had all this driving and chaos, you know. It would have been great just to do it online and at my own pace. So it's at your own pace. I didn't want to make labs where you have to meet with me and then I go over it. I didn't want it. I want it to be streamlined. And maybe even 3 times a week is too much. I don't know. But I also put it on the YouTube. You know how to get to my YouTube? Right? I don't know if I should email that or, it's a YouTube. Maybe I should email it. I better email you the YouTube link. All right. I'll email you my YouTube channel. All right. When we're done here. And you can always check out the YouTube. Let's say you're not going to be here next Wednesday. All right. Well, you got to look at the YouTube channel. You have to be here for the tests. All right. Otherwise, forget it. I don't give makeups and then you get a 0 for that. And that's why I dropped the lowest. And things do happen. You're going to have to accept that. That's why I dropped the lowest. I had a student who needed, wanted to have a makeup, and I can't give a makeup, then I can't drop the lowest. I can give you a makeup, but then I cannot drop the lowest. And usually that works out worse. So you're best off just dropping what you miss. But that's why I have it in there. And I also want you to be flexible with me, because if something should happen or I have to do something, I want to put it up on the YouTube channel and I will put it up there. But I do not believe in a class, and some teachers are doing this, by the way, where they just put everything on the YouTube channel and that's it. I don't like it. You got to be live. You have to be personal. Otherwise, it's no good. Now, at least we've seen everyone. We kind of know everyone a little bit, and we've got to have that. And I don't know what's going to happen with liberal arts. If we're on campus, we'll have the pizza party in the fall, first week we get back. If we're not, and we have to wait to the spring, then like if liberal arts is not on campus and I'm teaching from here, then we'll do it in the spring. We'll have a pizza party. We have to have a reunion get together so we meet each other. That'll be fun. And that's important because people, I don't think you should never meet each other. And it's good for future social and business connections. And believe me, it does matter. All right, now I want to stop this, stop the recording.